I'm Daily. Welcome to today's class on statistical analysis with SPSS. So today we are going to be having an introductory class. So don't forget to click on subscribe and like the video. So let's get started. We'll be having a brief introduction to SPSS itself, and first you might have heard it as SPSS or PASW. IBM SPSS from the version 17 is also known as SPSS Statistics. Version 18 they call it PASW, which means Predictive Analytics Software. And SPSS itself fully means Statistical Package for Social Sciences. So SPSS has a reputation for being the easiest statistical software to use. So why is it the easiest? Because SPSS could do complex statistical analysis with just simple mouse click. Yeah, you heard me right. So you don't need to write lots of code. You don't need to write a lot of lines just to carry out your statistical analysis. So with your simple mouse click, you can actually analyze on SPSS. So that's fact number one, why SPSS is actually very, very reputable for being the easiest software to use in statistical analysis. So it is commonly used in universities, particularly in social sciences, behavioral science, and it is also used by market researchers, health researchers, survey companies, government entities, education researchers, and marketing organization, data miners, and lots more. The list just keeps going. So SPSS is very, very easy to use. So that is why it's used in most places. So however, we should also get to know that SPSS is not a free software, which means it's not an open source software. If you are using SPSS, you are paying for it. However, there are some there is a free trial on the IBM webpage where they give you a year free subscription. So that year you can have it for a year and on a computer. So a free trial per computer per year, which means by next year it's not going to work on that same computer again. So you have to pay. And a subscription plan for SPSS starts from 99 USD per authorization per month, which means per individual per month. So one person using SPSS in a month will be paying $99. So you heard me right, $99. So convert that to naira, you know how much it is. So SPSS is not actually free software. Also, you can actually have, apart from the free trial, you may, if you belong to certain community, you may have a community version for free. So, and also don't worry about this. If you, in your college or university, if your university buys a kind of subscription that students can also use for free, and also there are websites where you can rent SPSS for use. Yeah, you heard me right, you rent. So SPSS is not actually free as people may think. Is quite expensive to use. So how does the IBM SPSS work? We are going to be looking into that, but before that, you should also know that okay, those that are offering the course on II and C platform for SPSS, you are going to be getting a free community version of SPSS to install so that you can get trained for the software. So for those who are watching this and you have enrolled for the II and C free SPSS class, lucky you. Also, if you haven't, you get a link some other time whenever there is a new cohort going to register for the course. So now SPSS, this is how the interface of SPSS looks. We are going to be checking out the screens in SPSS. First, you should get to know that SPSS has two screens. Yes, you heard me right. The screen where the data and variables are, and also you get a screen for output. This is the output screen where whatever you do on SPSS is actually shown. This is where you get your analysis, your graphs, and everything. And here in the input screen, it has two views. First, to get, since SPSS works with just mouse click, you need to input your data very well. You need to be very careful when inputting your data. So we are going to be talking about how to input data once on SPSS. So let's get a check. Let's check this out. On SPSS, you have the data view. Here on the data view, you get cases on each row. So this row 1, you can have a case pertaining to a particular respondent or a particular case. You get it on this. Then you have the variable on the columns, so which means each column answer a question for different cases, as you can see. So how does it work? You see that if I input a value in a cell here, this is basically a spreadsheet just like your Excel. So if I enter a value here, one thing you notice is that column comes to life and it gives a name to that column. You can see variable 00001. So if you do that somewhere else, 307, anything you press, you can see that column comes to life. But this has made no sense. This is actually not making sense, because you can have series of variables. You can have 1,000 variables, and these variables have to have a unique name. You need to label these variables. You need to be able to identify each variable. So that brings us to the variable view. Here you see there are two views here, the data view and the variable view. So down at the bottom corner, at the left bottom corner of your screen, you'll see where you can change the view, the data view and the variable view. So the variable view is where you set your variable, and here we are going to be discussing some things that need to be discussed, especially for people who have not taken a statistics class. So we will explain some concepts here. First, you see under the variable view you have the name. This is where you give your variable a name. So here, first, to me, I prefer to have my first name as the case ID. Case ID is something you put on your questionnaire so that you can identify what questionnaire was on a particular case, as in on a particular row, so that if there's any error, you can easily go back to that questionnaire or that documentation or the score guide for that case. So I call this case ID. So however, one thing to know when you are naming your variable is this: your variable name will not start with a number. It doesn't start with numerals. It must not start with it doesn't take in special characters, and it doesn't take in space. So immediately you put space, it gives you an error message. Let's say case ID. You can see variable names contain an illegal character. So once it contains an illegal character, it means that space you put is not allowed in that location. So instead of writing it that way, you can either put it as case, let's say case, then underscore ID. Yeah, you can see it works that way. So on that under the variable name, you don't put a space, you don't put you don't start with numbers. If you start with numbers, it won't work. Then the next thing to discuss is the data type. Here by default is going to give you numerical. When we say numerical data type, it means just numbers 1, 2, 3 to whatever you want to call it. But here you can change what data type you want. For instance, you can have it as currency. You can have it in just dollar. You can have it in dollar if you are calculating, if you are doing things relating to money. You can have it in string, where you can write in words. So instead of having 1, 2, 3, you can have it in words here. So if it is a string, or you can change it, or a date. If you want it in date form, maybe you want to register the date you collected each information, so you get to decide what type of entry will be in that cell, or let's say in that column. So for this column, I want it to be a numeric data, and you can actually specify how many decimal place. Let's say for my case ID, I don't want anything, I don't want a decimal place. And how many digits do you want? You can see 8, meaning you can input 8 digits in that row. So here we go. Then label. Yeah, label is where you can write more on the variable, which means for a variable that you just discussed, you just called it you couldn't put space for the variable name, but on the label you can put space, you can put whatever you want. So for instance, now for my case ID, I can decide to change to write a label for it. Let's say identity of respondents. You can see conveniently I can write much in it, and I can put space, put whatever I want. So next we'll be checking out the measures. So however, I know those who are statistically inclined, you will understand what we refer to as scales of measurement. You know, we have 4 scales of measurement originally: the nominal, the ordinal, the interval, and the ratio. So for those of us who have no previous knowledge on that, you can check that out on my video on scales of measurement. So on that video, you get to know that the 4 scales of measurement, you have the ordinal scale of measurement. The ordinal scale of measurement means, okay, let me start with the nominal. The nominal scale of measurement is telling you that the array or the list of elements is in no particular order. For instance, you have green, yellow, blue colors. So there's no reason why you have blue before green, there's no reason why you have green before blue, and there's no reason why you can have red before any. So it's just nominal, it's just a name. So then the ordinal means there is an order, there is a rank in something in the list. For instance, you have good, you have better, you have best. So definitely there's a rank. Or you have satisfied, let me say not satisfied, partially satisfied, satisfied, and highly satisfied. You can see that is ordered. So it has an ordinal scale of measurement. And finally, the interval and the ratio here. So usually the numeric form, which means whether you are talking on the interval or ratio, in SPSS you call it scale. So the ordinal is ordinal, nominal is nominal, but interval ratio is referred to as scale. So with this, you can see case ID is going to be in numeric form, but actually it doesn't matter if one person comes before another, or why a particular respondent comes before another. I may decide to call it nominal because it's just an identification. So but for this purpose, I'll call it a nominal value. So now let's check out another thing. We can try it with age. Okay, we are going to talk on alignment. The alignment is just a way of justifying your entry. So if you align it to just like on your Microsoft Word, you can align to the right, align to the left, and so on. So you can make it a center alignment any way you want. So I can start to align to the right, which means everything I'm writing will be tilted towards the right. Then I'm sure on width, this is just going to tell you how wide you want your cell to be, and decimal tells on the number of decimal places. I think I've done an adjustment to that formally. Then here in value, we'll be explaining that in our next video. So have a nice day. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like this video. Have a nice day. Thank you.